Alrighty, hello there. My name is James, and right now we're going to learn how to simplify roots of negative numbers. Right, here is an example problem. It asks, express the radical using the imaginary unit I. Okay? And it's talking about this thing right here, this radical, okay? We need to express it using the imaginary unit I. Now, how are we even going to go about this? Well, the secret, you're going to want to grab this first number right here, okay? 77. I'm going to circle it as best as I can. 77. Let's write it over here. 77, okay? Let's look for two numbers that multiply to 77, okay? And in that case, it's 11 and 7, okay? Now, can this be reduced any further? Well, 11 can only be multiplied by 11 and 1, and 7 also, right? It's gonna be 7 and 1. So they cannot be reduced any further, which means boo-hoo, right? That's not very fun, okay? So we can just write the square root of 77 because it cannot be reduced any further. And because there's a negative right here, we're gonna multiply by I. So the answer is negative, excuse me, the answer is the square root of 77 times I. Okay? Pretty easy so far. Let's move on to the next question, shall we? Alright, this is problem number 2. We have the plus or minus the square root of negative 27. And the question is still the same. We need to express it using I. So let's write down 27 and do the same thing like the first problem. Let's find two numbers that multiply to 27. Well, we know that 9 and 3 multiply to 27. And this 9 can be reduced even further by 3 and 3. So if you look at our very bottom numbers, we have a 3, a 3, and a 3, okay? And we have a pair of duplicate numbers, so we're actually gonna circle it, okay? Which is muy bien. Amazing. So let's get this duplicate numbers and let's write it over here. So we're gonna write down a 3 and a square root symbol, okay? Now what's gonna go inside the square root symbol? Well, let's square this number. So this is a 3. What is 3 times 3? 9, right? And what times 9 equals 27? Well, it's going to be 3. So 3 is going to go in here. I know it kind of sounds confusing, but we'll do another problem to make sure you understand it. So pretty much you want to get this first number, so 3, and multiply by itself. 3 times 3, 9, and whatever here, multiply, and it should equal this number. Okay? But don't worry, we'll go over another problem to really understand it. And of course, there should be a negative here, so we're going to multiply by I. You can either write it right here, the I right there, or you can write it right here. Now this looks a little bit more cleaner. So pretty much the answer is 3i times the square root of 3. 3i times the square root of 3. Okay, let's go ahead and do another problem, because I know, unfortunately, this problem, there's so many 3's, right? It's like, oh my goodness, just give me another number already. So let's go ahead and do another problem. Alrighty, here's another more fun problem. It's asking us to do the same thing again. Express the radical using the imaginary unit I. Okay? And express the answer in simplified form. Well, let's pretend this negative is not here. Okay? We're just going to focus on this 16. What is the square root of 16? It's 4. Okay? So we can just write 4. And because there's a negative sign right here, we can just put I, multiply by I at the end. So our answer is 4i. Okay? Seems easy enough. Let's box it. I mean, it's already in the box, but I'm gonna put another box. So easy peasy. That's how you do it. If it's a perfect square already, you can just stick a 4 there, multiply by I, and you'll be good to go. Let's do 2 more problems, and we should be good to go. Alright, it's asking us to do the same thing again. Express the radical using the imaginary unit I. Okay, wow, that's very Very attractive. Okay, just like that. So how are we gonna go about this? Well, again, for every single problem, we're gonna write down the number 80. Okay, we're gonna write down whatever number's in here. And let's keep factoring 80 until we get to the lowest possible numbers, okay? So we got 10 and 8. Those multiply to 80. Now let's do 8 next. That's 4 and 2. And if we do 4 further, it's going to be 2 and 2, okay? 10 can be reduced to 5 and 2, okay? Now, we're looking for duplicates. And luckily for us, we actually found some duplicates. In fact, we found 2 pairs. Here's one pair, and here's another pair of duplicates. So what do we do when we have 2 pairs of duplicates? Well, what we're going to do, we're actually going to multiply all of them together, okay? So 2 times 2 is 4, 4 times 2 is 8, 8 times 2 is 16. So we're going to multiply all 4 numbers and we get 16, okay? Now we need to find out 16 times what equals 80. Well, we know it's 5 because that's our last number. So 16 times 5 equals 80. So what you want to do is get the square root of this number. 16, that's going to be 4. Put the square root symbol. And get whatever number is here and stick it in here, okay? So now we have 4 times the square root of 5. But don't forget we have a negative symbol right here, so you can multiply by I as well. Well, you have to. It's not just you can, but you have to. So our final answer is 4i times the square root of 5. Okay, great. And you can also rearrange it if you want to have the I over here. Doesn't really matter. I think it just looks cleaner this way. But that is problem number 4 solved. Pat yourself on the back. This is pretty much as hard as it will get. So yeah, that's pretty good. Let's move on to the next problem. Alright, here's our final problem. We have the square root of negative 34. Plus or minus the square root of negative 34. Okay? How are we gonna simplify this? Well, let's go ahead, go to 34. And find 2 numbers that multiply to 34. Well, we have 17 and 2. And unfortunately, this does not work, okay? Because, well, we can't simplify these numbers any further. But that's okay. So in that case, if we can't simplify it, we just write down the square root of 34. And we're just going to multiply by I because there's a negative here, okay? And there we go, that is the answer. Plus or minus the square root of 34 times I. And those are the 5 problems. We did them. Congratulations, pat yourself on the back. Hopefully you learned something new. And thank you very much for watching my video. I'll see you in the next one.